the intro this time?
Yeah.
All right.
Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of Two Books, One Shelf. I'm Scarlett.
I'm Derek.
And this series, if you recall, is the one in which we both pick two books, pitch them to one another, spoiler-free, tell you the highs and lows, tell you who would enjoy the book, and a little what it's about. Convince you to read it.
Perfectly said.
Thank you.
So we can get right into it. So, my first book. I need everyone to lock in for this one. This book is insane. I think last time I said tomorrow is my favorite book. I think now I have to say that's my favorite fiction book.
Okay.
Because this takes the cake for my new favorite fantasy, which is my favorite genre, which is why I'm so excited.
Wow.
A lot of build-up. It is The Will of the Many by James Islington. Oh my. This book is incredible.
Why?
Let me start out with a little pitch of what this book is about.
Is that a spoiler?
Okay, I guess it doesn't say that, so that was a major spoiler.
All right, we'll cut that out.
It's completely set in a Roman era. It's all in Rome, but it feels like today, but in a different world of Rome. So it's just set in this Roman Empire-esque era, and it follows this guy named Viz. He's an orphan, and he's living in the outskirts of the hierarchy. The hierarchy is the new ruling order of this Roman world. Viz is very against the hierarchy, very doesn't like what they're trying to do, but he's called upon by this guy high up in the hierarchy to come and infiltrate it and work his way to the top. Spoilers, which I can't give away too much.
No.
And it's hard to even give a synopsis because everything feels like a spoiler because each page is just giving you a little bit more information. Yeah, here we go. So it's hard to really tell what this book is about without giving things away. I mean, yeah, what I said, and he's recruited to work his way into the hierarchy by going to the academy, working his way up, and kind of taking down the hierarchy from within.
This, I think I heard someone equate it to kind of Harry Potter.
So I could see this equated to a lot of things. I could see this equated to Harry Potter, Red Rising, Hunger Games.
Okay.
I could see it equated to all those, but I assure you this is a completely unique twist on everything. There's a lot of common tropes throughout, but I've never seen it done this way. The ending will blow your mind. So let me give some highs and lows of the book. The highs of the book is that it's the most intriguing story. You're thrown into this world not really knowing anything, and rather than getting answers, you're kind of just given more questions that help guide your thinking. It messes with your mind. Okay. The plot of this story is so well done. When I'm reading this story, I feel smarter for doing it. I guess that ties in with the prose, which is another high. The characters are incredible. They're so layered. You don't know the intentions of one character to another, and what they do and say to each other is all thought out because they need something from them later on. It's just, it's incredible. I cannot recommend this book enough. The cons, there's only two. There's two minor cons that keeps it from being a perfect 10 out of 10 book.
Wow. The
one con is there's one trope in there that is a little overused and a little bit of a cop-out. It's minor, it's not a huge plot of the book, but it's still like, ooh, it takes me out of it a little bit. The second con is that it doesn't answer so many questions that it poses. This is not a satisfying ending. You will leave with more questions than you came into it. So,
well, there's another book, right?
Well, it's not out yet, which is the problem. It leaves you on such cliffhangers with so many questions. It's almost like there almost wasn't enough fulfillment. It's rather, I need this next book because there's so many questions that I really want to know that are not answered.
I would enjoy this book.
Absolutely, everyone. This book is incredible. Please, if you think fantasy, I automatically don't like that, shut up. Read it. Just try it. Try this one for me. And if you don't like it, then fine. I'll never ask again. Just try this book.
Wow.
Who wouldn't like this book? Haters. Losers. I truly don't know. I think this is so accessible. It's such an entryway into the fantasy genre. I think if you can open up your mind to the idea of a world that's not quite real, then you can get behind it. If you can't get behind it, then maybe it's not for you.
Wow.
Thanks, James.
First name basis. Next is my pick. I am pitching Love and Saffron by Kim Fay.
What is this book about, Scarlett?
This is the cutest, patootiest little book you ever did read. Look at how small. A. B. I love this book. Adorable. I actually read this book because of a book club. So this was not a book I would have picked up. I just happened to, that was the book chosen for the book club I'm in. So I read it and I loved it. I read this book in one day. It's very small, but that's still. Okay, let me give a little pitch. This book is about, it's just, the whole book is written, well, most of the book is written back and forth letters between two people. We have Joan and we have, I don't know how to pronounce the name, Imogen?
Oh, okay.
You know that name?
I've heard that name before,
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce it, but there are two women writing letters to one another. And it is so cute. Takes place in the 1960s and they're just writing back and forth. I mean, on the front, it's about friendship. And it says right on the back, 2 strangers, 1 recipe, a friendship for the ages. That's what it says on the back.
How wholesome.
So wholesome. It's so cute. These women write back and forth, develop a friendship. They're pen pals. And it is just so wholesome, so sweet. And I know that kind of sounds boring, but to jump to who would enjoy this book would be like a wholesome female friendship dynamic lover.
If you're a lover of female friendships.
If you're a lover, you'll love this book. No. It's a very wholesome read. It's so cute. And I really love the intertwining of like the recipes. I find that very fascinating. It's a very international underpinning to the book. They are trying different recipes from different cultures. And I love that personally. So I thought that was a nice little sprinkle on top. Highs and lows. The high is, it's such an easy, quick read. You can read it in one sitting. Actually, in the back, in the author's note, she's like, I intended to write this to be in one nourishing sitting, which I thought was so cute. Lows, none. I gave this book 5 stars after I cried, actually.
She was sobbing on the couch. I look over and I'm like, what's happening?
It was just so touching. It was just such a touching story of friendship. And I just think everyone would enjoy it.
I thought this was a book of just like recipes.
Yeah.
So I thought you were just reading recipes.
There are recipes in the back.
But then she started sobbing. I'm like...
It's just such a touching story.
Yes.
I love it. I think it's amazing. I think everyone would read it and enjoy their time, learn a little something about friendship. Because it's like a pen pal friendship. That's so cute, you know? I think that's it. Read it. Go get it. It's so good. I really don't have that many 5-star reads on my Goodreads.
No, yeah.
And this got it in one day. Hello. This is a good book. Love and Saffron. Thank you very much. Thanks, Kim.
First name basis. My next book. It's a classic. It's very popular in the sci-fi fantasy realm right now. It is Red Rising by Pierce Brown. A lot of people equate this book, or at least say it's an inspiration for The Will of the Many. So I could definitely see it. I'm here to officially debunk, though, now that I've read both, I think they're 2 completely different stories. They have the same setup. They do have the same setup. A quick little pitch for Red Rising is you follow this guy named Darrow, who is a red. Society is broken up into colors. There is the golds at the top, the reds at the very bottom. So Darrow is a red, and he goes through all these trials and tribulations as a red. He's eventually recruited similarly to go infiltrate the golds and try to tear them down from within. But this one's different from The Will of the Many in the sense that the worlds are completely different. This one takes place on Mars to begin, and then it's a vast, more space opera type book. The first one doesn't really dive into space. This one I think you could equate a lot more to the Hunger Games. It's very similar in the trope of he's going to an academy. He has to win his way, graduate in the top to get into the Gold Society. So that's all that I'll say for the pitch. Yeah. The highs for this book is that I think the pacing is super quick. It's a shorter read, so there's a lot packed in there, I think. The writing is, the fight scenes are really cool. It feels like a Marvel film, almost.
Marvelous.
It's a marvelous story. Good Marvel days, you know?
Like back pre...
Like Avengers
Endgame.
1. Yeah. I have read the second and third book, so I do have a little bit of bias. I do think it gets a lot better, but I think this is a great start. I think he had to write it a bit more broad, kind of more Hunger Gamesy to pull in a broader audience, and then he kind of settles into what story he wants to tell. That's what I got from it. Some of the lows, the prose isn't like as good as The Will of the Many, for example. It's written a little bit more, I don't know, kind of like a flow of consciousness. Not to say it's bad, but it definitely improves throughout the series. There's not a ton of intricate moving parts in this one. It's more of just following the story, whereas like The Will of the Many has political intrigue and you're always wondering who's on whose side. I would definitely recommend it to already existing fantasy sci-fi lovers. Anyone that likes that Hunger Games Divergent type of vibe, but a little bit more adult. Who wouldn't like this? I do think this is one where people that like their mystery thriller or fiction thing, I don't know if they'd like this. That's my pitch for Red Rising.
All right. Nice.
Thanks, Pierce.
All right. We are to our final book in Two Books, One Shelf, which is my next pick, Atomic Habits by James Clear. So this book is super popular. It is spreading all over. This is a very popular book. It is a self-help
I
book.
hate that term because it has such negative connotations. But
it doesn't feel like, that feels like a weird title to put on it. It's just like a
I'd say like
lifestyle tips and tricks kind of book. Little pitch on it is essentially Atomic Habits. The title he breaks down to be meaning, obviously atomic meaning very, very small, and habits are habits. So his whole idea in the book is just teeny little changes to change your life. That's essentially the pitch. So he has a couple of ideas in there. I really liked this book because it wasn't, I think self-help books get a really bad rap for having this like, the author's like, well, you know, I'm the best, I know everything.
I figured it all out.
Yeah, and like, do this, you'll fix your life. And it's very like high and mighty and very like lecturing.
Yeah.
But this one is not at all. I think that his style of writing is very much like, here's an idea, try this out, like see if you like it, totally up to you. Some highs for this book is reading it made me feel very motivated, and it made me feel excited about implementing a lot of the ideas in the book. For example, habit stacking. So one of the examples he mentions is if you want to add in, say, meditation to your day, then pick something that you already do every single day, brushing your teeth, and be like, okay, after I brush my teeth every day, I will sit and just be mindful for 1 minute, 30 seconds, whatever. Oh, hello.
Dog is right here.
His point is if you're stacking something you want to do onto something that you're already doing, it's going to be easier. You're going to naturally do it and think of it. So that's just one example, but it has a lot of practical, here is exactly what you could do if you want to achieve X. Some lows.
It's not fun.
Yeah.
It's improving your life. Boring.
Yeah, it's not a fun book, but I mean, it's a like more of a learning book. But one of the lows I have is I don't really like in this genre particularly when, kind of what I said before, when the author's kind of like, well, this is my story. Mm-hmm. And he has a little bit of that. He doesn't do it in a way that's like, I'm high and mighty and I know everything. But he does talk about his story of like, he played baseball or whatever. And I'm just like, maybe this is disrespectful, but I'm just like, I don't care.
Don't care about your life. Tell me how to be better.
Yeah. So I don't know. I guess that's just a low for me. I'm sure other people reading it would appreciate the like reality grounded in it. And it kind of explains why he learned about all this stuff. So I get it. But personally, I'm just like, all right, like, get to the point. But yeah, who would enjoy this book? I think anyone who's trying to make changes in their life, anyone who's trying to get motivated to do anything, like it could be any goal that you might have, but it's definitely a book that you read and you feel good and you feel excited and you feel like, wow, I want to do this. I want to reach this goal. I want to start practicing this.
Who wouldn't like it?
I think like fun readers would be super bored by it. Because it's not, a story. Or just people who are super stuck in their ways.
Or if they've already got it figured out.
Oh, yeah. Perfect people, maybe. That's the pitch. I recommend. And that's Two Books, One Shelf.
Thanks for watching.
Period. Oh, wait. Thanks, James.